It is one of the most hopeful questions a smoker can ask, and it deserves a straight answer rather than a comforting one. Can quitting smoking reverse lung damage? The truth comes in two parts because your lungs are astonishingly good at repairing some things and completely unable to repair others. So let me separate the two cleanly and then explain why the date on the calendar matters more than almost anything else you could do. Begin with what genuinely heals because the list is longer than most people expect, and it starts within days. Almost immediately after your last cigarette, the cilia, those microscopic hairs lining your airways, begin waking back up, and over the next 1 to 9 months they regrow and start working close to normally again. That is a bigger deal than it sounds because the cilia are the lungs' cleaning crew. Smoke paralyzes them, which is why tar and mucus simply pool and sit. Quit, and that cleaning system switches back on and starts hauling out years of trapped debris. It is also why a lot of people cough more in the first few weeks, not less. It feels like decline. It is the opposite. It is your lungs finally taking out the trash. The recovery runs deeper than the cilia, too. Within weeks, the airway inflammation settles, the swelling eases, mucus production falls, and measurable lung function climbs. Across the first year, your capacity nudges upward, and the slow annual decline that smoking speeds up slows back toward the normal pace of a non-smoker. Oxygen levels rise, circulation sharpens, and stairs stop feeling like a hill. Stretch the timeline out and the rewards compound. By roughly a decade smoke-free, your odds of dying from lung cancer fall to about half those of someone who kept going. So, a great deal of the damage truly does reverse. Now, the honest half, the part the cheerful posts skip over. Some of it does not come back. Emphysema is permanent because it destroys the alveoli, the delicate air sacs where oxygen crosses into your blood, and once those have burst, the body cannot grow new ones. Heavily damaged tissue tends to heal as stiff scar rather than springy, working lung, and scar does not turn back into lung. Quitting can slow emphysema to a crawl and take the edge off the symptoms, but it cannot rebuild what is already gone. And while lung cancer risk drops steeply, it never quite returns to the baseline of someone who never smoked at all. Which hands you the single most important takeaway, the one that should actually move you. Your lungs will restore everything still restorable, but they cannot raise what is already dead. So the variable that matters is not whether you quit, it is when. Every extra day of smoking quietly turns repairable damage into the permanent kind. Whatever healthy tissue you still have today is tissue you get to keep, if you protect it now. The window is open. It does not stay open forever. And here's the reframe that should change how you think about all of it. Your lungs handle the repair entirely on their own. They do not ask which app you used or which program you followed. The instant the smoke stops arriving, the cleanup begins, automatically with zero input from you. Which means the real difficulty was never sitting in your chest, it was sitting in your head. The healing is the easy part in the sense that your body volunteers for it. The hard part is staying stopped long enough to let it happen. And staying stopped is precisely where most tools fail people, because they are pointed at the wrong enemy. The patches, the gums, the lozenges, the usual stop-smoking aids stacked by the register are designed to do one job, which is to ease the body off nicotine gradually. Helpful, but only half the picture, because they leave the psychology fully intact. The prescription route has the same blind spot, whether it is presented as one of the big stop-smoking programs or a clinically framed set of smoking cessation programs. Even the quit smoking aids a doctor reaches for first are mostly managing the chemical, not the conditioning. So someone quits, the lungs begin their repair, a single rough afternoon shows up, the old reflex fires, and they are smoking again with the healing barely underway. Those smoking cessation aids can soften the come down, but the trigger that pulls people back is left untouched. What actually holds is going after the mind, not the molecule, and it works on two layers. The upper layer, the part of you that reasons and rationalizes, is handled by cognitive behavioral therapy and rational emotive behavior therapy, which take the stories you have told yourself for years, like the belief that a cigarette steadies your nerves, and pick them apart until they no longer convince you. The deeper layer is the automatic one, the reflex that fires before you decide anything, and that is where hypnotherapy to quit smoking earns its keep. using calm, guided audio to slip past the arguing mind and rewrite the association at its source. To be clear, hypnotherapy to quit smoking is not the entire answer by itself, only the piece that reaches what plain logic cannot. And then comes the move that throws everyone. For the first 5 days, you do not stop. You keep smoking on purpose, but with complete attention, until the promised pleasure quietly fails to arrive, and the automatic habit comes apart in your own hands. That pairing, the conscious and the automatic worked at the same time, is far closer to the best way to stop smoking than anything aimed only at the nicotine. If you want all of that delivered as one guided process instead of a stack of theory, the clearest example I have found is QuitSure. It runs over 6 days as a structured quit smoking program, and the thing that separates it is that it behaves like a genuine cessation program, walking you through the psychological work step by step, rather than a glorified calendar that just tallies your smoke-free days. It was put together by a team of Stanford, IIT, and IIM alumni who had been smokers themselves, which is probably why it never lectures. That focus is rarer than it should be, because the category is buried in noise. Open any store and the sheer volume of smoking cessation apps is dizzying, and the overwhelming majority are little more than trackers. You thumb past one stop smoking app after the next, screen after screen of apps to stop smoking that all amount to the same thing. Plenty cost nothing, and a free quit smoking app feels like a bargain, right up until you notice it is mostly a streak you feel guilty about breaking. So the real question is not whether you can find a quit smoking app. It is whether you can find one with any substance behind it. A single smoking cessation app actually built on tested psychology, rather than guilt and gamification, is the only sensible filter for the best app to quit smoking. And there is real evidence underneath it, not just confident marketing. QuitSure's results were published as peer-reviewed research in the JMIR journals, the Journal of Medical Internet Research, which reported an 80.1% success rate among the people who completed the program, measured 30 days out. Read that carefully, though, because the phrase that carries the weight is among those who completed it. That figure belongs to people who actually finished the 6 days, not to someone who installed it and forgot it existed. More than 3 million downloads later, a very large number of people have run that experiment on themselves. So, to close the loop on the question you arrived with, can quitting reverse lung damage? A remarkable amount of it, yes. The cilia, the inflammation, much of your function, a large slice of your long-term risk, all of it genuinely recovers. The structural losses, the emphysema, and the scarring do not, which is exactly why the calendar is everything, and today beats next year every single time. Your lungs are standing by to begin the moment you let them off the hook. The one thing they cannot do is make the decision for you, because that part lives in your mind, not your chest. So the best way to stop smoking is not to brace harder against the urge. It is to dissolve the want that produces it, and then step out of your own lungs' way while they do the work they have been waiting years to start. QuitSure is in the app stores if you want to see the method for yourself, with the link sitting in the description below.